Good Monday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and SUVs and motorcycles, the dogs, the camper. Ice Age TV. Well, nobody's even reached out to get a sticker. I haven't even been promoting it lately, to be honest with you. So, wow, it's Monday morning, and you can tell that the family's back just by the driveway. The wife's back, and the Grand Wagoneer. So a nice, great, safe trip, thank goodness. And there's Kiefer all wound up. Hey, good Monday morning there for all those that are watching my channel, watch me all the time. Appreciate all the support, nice comments, interaction, and hope you had a blessed 4th of July weekend. I kind of made it that way. We tried to make it kind of a 4-day time off for me. We didn't work per se on the business side. We worked around the property, house. I did a lot of projects if you kind of watch my channel. And boy, it's hot. It's hot, and the heat is here. It's incredible how this week it's going to be hotter than Tampa, Florida. It's incredible how many people are snowbirds that leave the Florida area to go north to be cooler. But in some ways, it is for the most part. But this week, Tampa will be in the 80s. This week, it's all 90s. It's not till end of this week, if the weather forecast is accurate, will it go down into the high 70s, low 80s. But otherwise, it's 95, 98 degree days. And people are on my channel, they've been reaching out and sharing how hot it is where they are. And that's something which I did is the Puppet Master, one of my subscribers, gave me the idea this morning to talk about heat. Because he reached out and commented about how hot it is. And just so anyways, for Mr. Puppet Master, I hope you're doing great. And your conversation brought this morning's conversation that I thought would be appropriate because it's so hot out. And it's that time of the year where the everybody starts talking about how the heat is now the total global warming challenge, and that mankind is in dire straits, and that if we don't do something about it soon, it's going to even be worse. So, and that's the rhetoric, because we're seeing record temperatures. But it's interesting. I was reading an article yesterday about record temperatures out there in Las Vegas, but they said they're taking the temperature at the airport, on the tarmac or something. They're reading these incredibly insane temperature readings but isn't just a typical out in the middle of the desert. And I mean, for Nevada, Las Vegas, come on. It's a desert. Is anyone surprised? But anyway, so I thought once again that the heat conversation be appropriate, because that's it so goes along with everything we own around us and our life of heat. And as I say, the heat factor is huge on the green agenda. That the green agenda activists are telling us that the world's getting hotter, and it's all because of these ICE vehicles. These ICE engines, these internal combustion engine vehicles, are the problem. And if we don't do something about these ICE engines, the world's going to be a melting pot. Yes, that's what they're telling us. And I think a lot of people scratch their head on that. But I thought what the appropriate way to talk about this is to use the example as always, the car, the truck, the motorcycle. And I can say, for me being a motorcycle enthusiast, the heat off motorcycles is huge. Especially when you come to these V-twin air-cooled motors. In today's technology, they have an oil cooler on them. Look down here, that's a little oil cooler radiator setup. But this is not a liquid-cooled motorcycle. Same thing here. This is an air-cooled engine through the flow of air moving down the road. And then you have an oil cooler that cools down the oil that circulates through the motor. This is a liquid-cooled motor, where this is like your conventional car, where it has radiator with radiator fluid, and then that internally cools the whole engine heads, the whole casing of the motor, whatever you want to say. And so for all the Hondas lined up here, these are all liquid-cooled engines that enable you to run around on a much cooler engine per se, even though they do get hot. Even the little Honda Monkey here is an air-cooled engine. For the KTM, this is a liquid-cooled engine, because that's a 2-stroke high revving motor. Everybody knows your cars, even though you go to the Volkswagen Beetle, what was in the Porsches back in the day, those were air-cooled engines. I'm sure there were some other products out there that people know more about, the Chevrolets or whatever. It was a Chevy Corvair, an air-cooled engine? I don't know. But then you come back here, and Harley has addressed the air-cooled engine into more of a liquid-cooled engine, because the new 121 motor over here, you can see it has, I'm trying to find it over here, here's your little bottle for actual antifreeze. So this is a more liquid-cooled motor per se, than this motor here that's oil-cooled. So they are, it's not like your conventional car motor yet, but it's still an updated design where they're using antifreeze in the around the cylinder heads to make it run cooler. But the thing is, these are V-twin motors with your body. As you can see, when you sit on this motorcycle, your legs in the summer months, you're right here with those extremely hot engine heads, and your cylinders and your casing for your transmission, and so the lower assembly. So you feel that when you're sitting at a stoplight between just the engine and then the exhaust. And of course the exhaust has what they call a heat shield to protect you from burning your leg and deflecting the heat somewhat away from you, which is very, very important when you ride a motorcycle, that you have those heat shields. Anybody that's ridden on a motorcycle that doesn't have heat shields, pretty quickly when you touch that hot exhaust. And that's the case when you go to these other motorcycles that people mod. They'll rip out the whole exhaust, put a whole head pipe on it, and if you don't have a heat shield in that thing, it's extremely dangerous from you burning your leg. I'm sure people have the stories of riding on motorcycles and even cars in a day of a car like the Chevy Corvettes, and have the side exhaust. I can remember that. My cousin had one of those. And so when I ride in this motorcycle here, unbeknownst to me, there's another exhaust here. You don't really pay much attention to it, but there's an exhaust here, right here. And if you look at the exit of this exhaust over here, it's further back per se. So you see here, this is a 3-cylinder motor. And I notice when I ride this motorcycle that in the hotter months, I'm feeling this exhaust because my foot is like right here when I'm sitting there at the light, and you feel this exhaust. It's hot, very hot. The Indian motorcycle, I wish I had an Indian motorcycle out of my trailer, because I do have an Indian Chief bobber sitting in my trailer out here, and I wish I was in here because I held back on buying an Indian motorcycle for many years because I heard so many complaints of the Indian V-twin motor being a very, very hot engine, and they hadn't put the cylinder deactivation. So for those out there that are Harley enthusiasts, Harley-Davidson got creative, and when the engine gets so hot, it goes to a cylinder deactivation, so there's only one cylinder per se moving, I guess. I mean, even for me saying that, it's like, what? Are you kidding me? How does that all play out? But anyways, it's to manage the heat on the engine, especially if you're in stop-and-go traffic. Anybody that's ridden in events or been on the highway and there's a major crash or back roads and you're stuck in stop-and-go traffic, you get to understand how hot that engine is. And you go back years and years ago, the 70s, the Harley-Davidson wasn't the best bike to be on in a stop-and-go environment because it may actually just turn off. I'm sure you know those stories as well. But for Indian, wasn't until 2020 that I think I'm pretty correct on that Indian introduced the deactivation cylinder mode on their motorcycles, because the number one complaint I heard in the Indian motorcycle forum when I used to participate and read, and that's something that you do if you're wanting to buy something, get involved in a forum and you follow the forum and you hear everybody else's stories of buying something and the challenges they have what they bought, and so you're not the guinea pig. That's a very smart way for you to buy something these days. You just get on a car forum, motorcycle forum, truck forum, whatever it may be, and you learn a lot from others' experiences and mistakes. Just like watching my channel, I'm sure, like Mr. Sanchez, will be the first to raise his hand and say he was all about getting an Indian Pursuit, Indian Challenger, and he really was going to abandon the Harley Road Glide for an Indian Challenger or Pursuit. And then he saw what I went through, and he kind of came to closure. He just didn't want to deal with the Indian product, and he's much happier with a brand new Harley Road Glide, which I think that's accurate, that the new Harley Road Glide is such a really badass, cool motorcycle, and Harley, I think, really stepped up to address the Indian challenge or Indian competition, if you kind of get what I mean by that. It's interesting, good old Kiefer boy is going back to the house. I don't know what's going on with him. I think he's hungry. He got up and just ran right out the door with the rest of us, rest of the pack. So that's probably what he wants to do, is eat there. So the heat off motorcycles, once again, if you're riding a natural aspirated V-twin, or I should say a non-liquid cooled conventional engine on a Harley Indian, you know these stories. But even these big bikes here, like Triumph for me, I used to have the Triumph 1200 Tiger. Back in 2017, I bought, I don't know if it was a 2018 Triumph Tiger or leftover 2017. It was that khaki green. And I really liked that bike, but it was extremely hot. It was the three, that's where I got the 3-piston personalized tag. Because Triumph's uniqueness of their engines, they're an inline 3 motor, which I think is really cool. And so that bike was so hot, extremely hot, really bad. I mean, really bad. And so even in the winter months, to a degree, that hotness, the heat was really nice for the winter months. But in the summer months, it was brutal. I mean, I'm not lying to you. The summer months, I'm going to go back over here to the house. I think Kiefer needs to go in the house and have his morning breakfast. So the summer months, that motorcycle was so even hot. Even Joe, who works for me at that time, he even rode that bike. And we were riding like this time of year, and he was like, oh my gosh, man, this thing's just going to fry me. And yeah, see that? He's the front door. Because he wants to go in the house and get his breakfast. And I just know the routine. Yesterday, I was outside doing a lot of work, and he just loves to play. And we played last night till 9 o'clock, him just chasing the ball, which that's what I do. I throw the ball, and he'll just play all day and all night long. And the good news is, the kid has moved back into the house. I don't know if you know that story or not. So Kiefer, yesterday, I spent time of really cleaning out that camper, and it's really a blessing in so many ways. Even though I like my dogs to be around me, I enjoy that. But the kid, her claim is it's just too hot in that camper, and she gets too hot in the back. So she's really made the decision to move back in the house, which in all reality, it's to my advantage because all the dogs, especially Kiefer, is now back in the house, and it's a huge difference of my exposure to him, of me having I guess an allergy with good old Kiefer. So yesterday I spent the day cleaning that whole camper out, opened everything up, and get everything just cleaned up big time, so that there's not any of that dog here and there. And it's a huge difference for me on how I feel and cough and hack. You may even notice my difference of maybe, do I cough hack this morning? Possibly, but it's a huge difference. So the kid's happy. The kid had her time with the camper, but for the moment it's out. Now when the cooler weather comes back, I imagine she will probably want to go out there. Maybe not. I don't know. Debatable. It's not a big deal. But for me, I already know in the colder months, it'll be more challenging to be comfortable in that camper, because anybody knows who's ever owned a camper, you have so much of this under air of this camper here that in the cool months, you get 30-degree days, this thing's going to be like an ice box. I mean, you're going to have to run the hell out of your propane. It'll become very expensive. And remember, I didn't even know this, your heat is the propane. Your heat is not your electric. It doesn't have a 220 conventional type of heating system like your house. It can't. You'd have to have 220 capability everywhere you went to plug this thing in. And the camping industry, I'm sure, came to a very quick conclusion that that's going to be very challenging for all these camping grounds to have 220 hookup, because that's a lot of energy. It's a whole different, wiring, bigger wiring, different plug. So you go through propane. And what I've learned many, many years ago, in the colder months, that thing's just a piece of paper. You're just heating a piece of paper out. You're heating a cardboard box out in the cold months. So for me, but even for me, how long do I continue to just want to live out in the camper? But I enjoy it because I'm out here in the evening. I mean, I'm not in my house. I mean, those that watch my channel, I'm not in my house. I don't sit around and watch TV. I don't do that. I'm always on a task, a project, doing something. So I just can't sit down. And I mean, don't take me wrong. Like I yesterday watched the Coco Golf, and the young lady, Donovan or something was her name. I can't remember. Two USA tennis girls for the Wimbledon. I played tennis growing up. I love tennis. I really do. I don't play it anymore per se, but I grew up playing tennis, and I used to actually even take tennis lessons. I used to be a Agassi fan. I used to watch his videos. I even took private lessons just to see if I could really be at a level of competing, pretty well. And I learned very quickly how challenging that is. Being on top of that ball and moving your feet around. And this now goes back to like 88. And I was much thinner. I was in really good shape. I probably weighed about 180 pounds. And I was lifting weights and bicycling. And I was just doing a lot of I was in really great shape. But boy, even with that, playing tennis, taking tennis lessons with a pro, semi-pro instructor, that was brutal. I mean, it was so hard, and I just came to closures like, no way. I just don't have this discipline. And it was the money, too. It was $75 a lesson when I was barely making any money. But I just came to closures like, your speed, talent, but you need to get going at that much, much younger. You really need to be doing that when you're 10, 12, 14 years old, not when you're like already like 25 years old. That's very challenging because in the tennis world, 25-year-old tennis person is usually very, very pro level, semi-pro, whatever it may be. But the point is, Coco Gauff, she totally caved under the heat of that game. I was amazed because Coco Gauff is a girl from Delray, Florida, and she's been a rising star for the last like good 4 years, and she kind of came out of nowhere on the tennis circuit, and I believe is 20 years old or 22 years old, and she's done very well. She's number 2 in the world. That's how good she's become. But I've seen her cave numerous times under a lot of heat, the heat under pressure. And so yesterday, incredible. The first set, it was a pretty good set, and it was a great match. Second set, she just came unglued and came apart like I've never ever seen her. And what's really interesting, Christy Evert and Chris Fowler were the two spokespeople watching that, overseeing the comments of the tournament. And when even Christy Evert was really taken back how Coco Gauff kept on looking to her trainer to tell her what to do to fix her mistakes. Because she was creating her own unforced errors like you've never seen. Like I've never seen her play before. So she totally fell apart in that game. So here's a young lady that is ranked 16th in the U.S., ranked 16th in the world, and she's a rising star as well. And she really kept her composure, and she took out Coco Gauff in two rounds. And that's a 3-round. The women's are 3 rounds, men are 5 round. So if you win the first 2 rounds, then it's the match. You got the game. So she's in advance now to, I believe, like the number 7th round. So if you like tennis, be sure to tune into Wimbledon. My mother just loves tennis. My mother was playing tennis up till she was 85 years old. I'm not lying to you. So my mother just sadly, just really 5 years ago, she was still playing tennis, and she loves tennis. And we became tennis people in California. And California is so great in that San Francisco area that we lived outside of San Francisco. And because the summer months are dry, it's just dry heat. It isn't humid heat. Because here in the Northeast, as you know, in Florida, the thing that gets you on these hot days is not so much the heat, it's the humidity, where you just feel like you're in a sauna. And that's how it is up here, but it's not really, when you go to Florida, you kind of get used to this stuff, so it's bad, but at the same time, Florida heat consistently, and that's the thing. The heat from Florida to heat to the Middle Atlantic and Northeast, the biggest difference is, what I see is, you get the cooler days. So we will get some cooler days here and there. Down in Florida, you just don't have that. You'll just have consistent high 80s, low 90s weather, and the evenings will still be like 80 degrees. And so up here, we'll get a little break, and all of a sudden we'll have a 70 degree, 75 degree evening. And we'll have just the 80s in the daytime. But in Florida, you can just pretty much bank on from basically June through September, it's just hot, hot, hot. And it's the humidity that I think gets most people, I think that's what gets most people burned out and have people leave. So anyways, Wimbledon, that's exciting. The World Cup that's here for the soccer tournament, that's exciting. So the point of that is, for me, will I sit down and watch that stuff? You know, I will. I'll turn it on my TV out here in the shop. I'll be working in the shop. I'll be watching it, or I'll just watch that. That's enjoyable. Baseball, those type of things late in the evening, I enjoy that. Watching the news, I don't enjoy it. I'm sure, that's what I've heard. I've heard people reach out my channel numerous times. Then when I start kind of getting a little too political, they kind of become disappointed because they like my channel for the fun side that I bring to my channel and all the other activities and things that I do. Then I start talking politics, and they just feel like, you know, I can watch that on TV. And I don't disagree with that. But at the same time, I like to share with people that I do have all these cars and trucks and motorcycles. But you know what? I like to share, too, that, you know, I seem to feel like I'm like many other people that feel they got to just speak out that what's going on isn't right. Now, here's something for Mr. Sanchez. I just ordered the rear crash bar, or rear saddlebag bar, I should say, for $69 off of Amazon. Now, I really wanted this type of look. Down in Florida, I was so close to buying this same bar. If you look at this straight bar versus if you look here, it's the mustache bar. That's what we call it, the mustache bar. Versus straight bar is a new, really big thing. So I was so on the page of, got a little strap here, that's interesting. I'm putting on Julia's bike the straight bars. So I was going to take her bike, and I was going to remove the mustache bar, and they now have what they call, you know, the straight style bar that comes out here in the saddlebag. But here's the thing, that front straight bar is like $300, and then the rear straight bar from Harley, they're back ordered, but aftermarket you're at $250, $275. But then what I heard is you have to cut into this bar for that support bar to overlap this. So, but I started thinking, you know what? Just spend just a conservative number, $600 to change the look in the bar. You know what? I'm like, no way. That's just a waste of money. This bike will look fine with the conventional. Now, Harley Davidson, that same style saddlebag bar that I just showed you back here, that is like $300. It's either like $369. It's very expensive. It's huge. Now, what's interesting is, sure, in this bike here, to match this theme here to there, yeah, it would be maybe worth the investment. I mean, I don't know. You know, what's interesting is when I bought this bike, there really wasn't anything I knew of at the time, and I never have even focused on it past that point, because I've always been the person to be concerned about, if I drop the bike, you know, this is going to be a very expensive mistake, the back end. I really do need to get the rear saddlebag bar for that as well. I didn't even really think about that. Just watching, just talking on my channel. So yesterday, the car show, went up there. there it is. There's the cough, you know. Is that the Kiefer cough? I'm drinking coffee. And my throat is very dry because I'm not drinking any water. I'm drinking coffee. So went up to the car show, and you know, at first it was kind of lame and light, but then actually it picked up, and a decent amount of people showed up. So if you watch my video, you'll see I was kind of like, but then it actually turned out all right. And yeah, I haven't had this. I need to get the front splitter taken care of, really do. And so hopefully I get that done sooner than later. And the carpenter bees are after what they do always. They kind of hang out like the birds did, and then they just disappear eventually because they do their wood shavings look here. Here's my brand new little cowl. Look, it's already trashed. But you know what? I like to show my stuff off, so I think many people here on my channel would agree. If I have covers for most everything in this shop. You can see way back there that I have covers. But if I cover everything up, it takes away, to me, the love of what I have, and you can't see it anymore. So I just don't like that. I like to be able to walk in my shop. I like to be able to see what I own, and I just like to be able to look at this. But it's like going to a car dealership, motorcycle dealership. Could you imagine going in, everything had a cover over it? Would you really be excited? No. The Camaro Z28, wow. Just a great, this is such a nice car. And the paint's actually a little better shape than I thought. Really was concerned that Kiefer really scratched the hell out of this thing. And he hasn't. And yeah, I mean, sincerely, the right decision would be to put a car cover over this. I don't disagree with me on that. And I do have a nice car cover for this. And it's just another project. And that's the thing. If you watch my YouTube channel over the weekend, you'll see that I spent Saturday rearranging the shop. And I kind of forgot to bring that up this morning, that I did rearrange this shop. And I think this is a lot better way to manage my shop. Because now I can just pull the Corvette out easily and bring my truck in to work or whatever, do an oil change, whatever. So this does flow better. And what's just insane, to where I am with all these vehicles, it's beyond controllable. I mean, I can't emphasize enough. I talk about it all the time. Me being able to maintain this amount of money is very challenging. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not crying the blues. I'm not making stories up, but I have so much debt. How I continue to manage this, I don't know. I mean, sadly, I don't know. I just don't know, because there's 5 more motorcycles. There's 4 out here in a trailer. I've got the CVO 2021, like lava color, wherever you call that. Then I got the Indian Chief Bobber red out there. Then I got my CB650R out there. Then I got the FTR Indian. So there's 4 bikes there. Then back at my brother's house is my CB1000R. So if I actually brought all those into the shop, and let's just say I took the Dodge Challenger out of the equation back here, you would have 5 more bikes over there where the Challenger is. So it would be insane. This would be like basically a motorcycle dealership. That I'd be willing to bet you that some small motorcycle dealership out there in a little town would say, you have more inventory at a higher cost than I do of everything I'm selling. I'd be amazed. Somebody go, I've got a nice little motorcycle shop. I make a lot of money off my service. But you, Mr. Iceman, have more motorcycles of values than I have in all my inventory. I wouldn't be surprised somebody say that, because you're talking about like 16 motorcycles. And these are not cheap motorcycles. I mean, look at this motorcycle here. This was originally a $38,000 motorcycle. We got it for $30,000. This here is a $30,000 motorcycle. You just start going through the list on my debts of how much money that, do I feel the heat? Do I feel the heat? And that's the thing about life and society is, do you feel the heat on you to get a job done, to accomplish something? Yeah, I mean, that whole word heat can go a whole different direction on who you are as a person. So the heat on me to make all the money, to carry all this debt, yeah, it's beyond believable. Even for me, I think to myself, wow, how crazy am I? I am really just, wow, how stupid am I? I just, oh my gosh, if I ever had just had the brains to take money and invest it into stocks, I would be, I'm sure I'd be worth millions of dollars, and I wouldn't have to even work anymore. But I'm the guy that just wants to continue to go out and buy another damn thing, and that's just my challenge of life, of the addictions of, the car addictions. I've said it many times. It's the Cars Anonymous, where you have to start, I guess I should start the channel, the Cars Anonymous. Let me show you how to go broker than broke and regret your decisions, because this is just too much. I mean, look at this here. How many vehicles do I have? I count them the other day. I mean, on my channel, I counted the other day how many vehicles I had. Got the Gator out yesterday. Got all the crap undone from that. And the pool, thank goodness, is holding up. And once again, for Don, I'm just telling you, Don, that was very smart of him to think of that like in the spur of the moment. Because sincerely, I don't know if I would have figured that out. I don't know. I mean, I will not. I'm giving Don credit for this, because that idea, pushing that piece of pipe into that tube of the broken pipe, where I never thought to myself when I did all that the pool's gonna expand, and wow, I mean, that's huge. And actually, my daughter had some friends over and had a great time in the pool. And that pool is so much fun for me to get. I jump in there. I usually get in there when the sun kind of sets down, because you just get so burned up. But this gator is so great. It needs to be serviced. I got so many vehicles right now, between the lawnmowers and this and that, and there's the race truck, and here's the car. So here's the next thing. When am I going to put the supercharger on this car? I really do need to get focused on that, but I just had so many little tasks. So hopefully here before long, I can get the supercharger on the Mustang and get that put to bed. Maybe we can get that done here in the next week or two. But my schedule is full blown out of projects that I have to do in my company. I mean, the heat is on, and the downside is it's so hot out, and I've got so many outside projects. Yeah, do you feel that? Heck yeah, you feel that. I mean, wow. I mean, big time. It's incredible. I have so many cars now. When I was telling Julia the other day, we went to the car wash. We drove the Kirby truck. The Kirby truck didn't do too bad. You would never know it now, because there are the birds already crapped all over it. But I drove a Kirby truck, which is nice. It is a nice truck. It does have that walk. And so anyways, I took that to the car wash and got it cleaned up. I think that's the first time I've cleaned that truck. I mean, I remember so many years ago when I just really didn't have a lot of cars. I just got this thing cleaned up, took it to the car wash and had it clean it. And I just can remember when I buy a new car, I was just so adamant about getting that car cleaned and keeping that car clean. And now, as time progresses, and now as I get older in life, it just doesn't bug me. But so many years ago, this would bug the hell out of me, that my Dark Horse is sitting outside and it's getting trashed. That would just bug the hell out of me. So it's just the preferences, the choices, but it's just too much. To stay on top of all these cars, there's just no way. I mean, that's exhausting for you to clean these vehicles. Anybody out there who cleans cars, trucks? And sure, do I take them to the car wash? The ones that'll go through okay? Yeah, but a lot of these won't. So the heat, it's the constant heat. That's the thing about life. There's constantly the heat on you that weighs on your shoulders for you to have to do things, and that wears you down. I think many people all agree that the heat, your job, relationship, your commitments, and that's the thing that I notice with a lot of my friends, that they constantly have commitments. If you've got a spouse, if you have a child. I mean, for me, I can't emphasize enough that when Julia was growing up, we were very active in the sports community. And between taking Julia to all of her sports activities and other events and school activities and then her friend activities, I didn't ever have any time to myself. And I'm sure if you're watching my channel yesterday and you saw the guy there with that 67 Chevy Chevelle that is called, I think, Tahoe. Did you say Tahoe Green, I think? Beautiful car. But I could see, though, in the back rear quarter panel, I didn't say it to him, but in the back rear quarter panel of that Chevelle, you could see rust. It was in that back left side. I'm sure he probably knows it, because you could see how the body was protruding out, but I'm sure he knows all about that. But anyways, the point is, I was asking him what spurred this, and he said, well, it wasn't for the fact I have 4 kids and I'm out on a frickin' sports activity, I wouldn't even have it. So the message there was, he's finally getting some breathing room of his constant activities with having to take care of the family. And that's the point, that I have friends and family and other people I know that, the heat is always on you. If you're a very active church person and you actually have church responsibilities, which I've done that, that's heat on you to participate and do things. If you're a coach of youth sports like I've done, that's heat on you to have to manage your time of running your business and your life, but then having to sidestep and manage your coaching capabilities. And that takes a lot out of you. Until you do it, you don't get it. If you're a very high-ranking person in a company, you always have the heat on you to be directing people and to get tasks and projects completed. And if you don't do that, then the heat is on you, and it's not a good thing in the end if you don't accomplish those And once again, people that are in these type of positions, and what goes with that is just like me. The heat is on me for obligations financially to make these things stay in my garage and to keep the creditors all happy. Very, very, intense amount of heat, which I would have to say most people couldn't even deal with, because you're talking about a loan for the most part, and every single thing you see sitting in my driveway of an obligation of a creditor. And so I have to run a company to be able to make money, to be able to make this all work. And as I try to grow a YouTube channel, which I've desperately been trying to do now for over 4 years, to try to create a secondary income to compensate my my efforts and everything else, to really just beyond believable, as I've talked a zillion times about my channel, beyond believable of what, and I run into people that tell me how they just love my YouTube channel and they love the content and they just enjoy coming to watch my videos because it just gives them a different outlook and a different, it takes the heat off of them. I think it takes the heat off of you because you can see some other guys crazier than you. That's what I tell people all the time. Use me as an example. If your wife or your husband or your partner, it gets all pissed at you, you want to go buy a new car that you haven't bought one for 5 years, you got to say, geez, can you give me a break? Look at this guy here. This guy buys a freaking new car every 2 weeks. Haven't done that lately, have I? How long can I go without buying something? Because now the Harley-Davidson purchase, this is interesting. So look, under 21. Yeah. So this is interesting on the Harley here. When did I buy this? Will I've gone 1 month? Can I go 1 month without buying something? I think, who the hell knows? I don't know. So for the heat, we all have heat on us, and that's and now that's, I guess you could say now on the political side, who more than ever is having the heat put on an individual named Joe Biden to step aside. And that's, that's a whole, it's just, you go to X, everybody here, you really should go to X, because you'll see the propaganda machine at a level you've never ever seen. You will see select individuals on X that are being paid as actors to just lambast all day long, the most stupid stuff you could ever believe. And it's sad that so many people get caught up in these actors that are being paid to be on X to promote stuff that you would just say, you're beyond believable that you're trying to tell people your views and ideas of life. It's just beyond believable. Here's a little bit interesting story is fusion. Fusion is an ongoing challenge for the next renewable energy, basically in my eyes, borderline nuclear technology. But the Chinese are all over it. So I was reading an article this morning about 2 a.m. this morning about how fusion is growing in China by leaps and bounds, and the Chinese are adamant to master that technology. And it was talking about how in China, they have like 15 scientists to every one American scientist. The whole article was really saying that America really is falling behind, and that China really is starting to overtake the world powers in some ways, advancements of technology. And I've talked about this a lot of times about how the EV age, the BYD, Build Your Dream by Warren Buffett and Berkshire, whatever the Berkshire investment company is, how they've invested in that company. And BYD, to a degree, is the biggest now electric car manufacturer of the world, to a degree, over Tesla. And how they have mastered electric vehicles to the point that this city administration does not want those cars in our country, because the Chinese have outdone us on the EV transition. And so there you have to say to yourself that China is definitely advancing over us. I think I read somewhere years ago, I think 2050 is the goal for China to be the dominant player of the world. Now, who knows how that all plays out. But so that puts the heat. Does that put the heat on our country to be a better country? As we're witnessing France and England just went all left. If you're following the world politics, the French people have just brought the socialist powers to be in a party and in England as well. So those two countries are now more than ever on let the government pay our way, and the government will make our way so much better and put the heat on the government to take care of us when, unbeknownst to most people, the heat's going to be put on you to go to work every day to give most of your money back to the government to so-called take care of everybody else. Good luck on that one, everybody. Good luck on the most corrupt things that happen in this world are governing bodies. If you really step back and look at the world powers to be, typically the governments are the most corrupt they can ever be. The political powers to be all are rich themselves to the max, and they're all wealthy and well-to-do. Who would ever believe that the most wealthy people in our country are former sitting politicians? I mean, come on. Are you following the news, anybody? And so, yeah, the propaganda machine. That's it. 40 minutes. I'm done. I got to go to work. Busy-ass day. And hope everybody's enjoyed my video content over the weekend. The Insta360 sucks. I don't like this thing. The camera quality, I just think it sucks. It just isn't. I did reset a different setting on it. I'll do another one with it, see how it goes. If you watched my video yesterday, this is Z06 time. I know, it sucks. It's terrible. Terrible video content. This phone that I have in my hand is the best camera to date. And that's the thing. People are like, well, get the GoPro. Well, guess what? I got the GoPro right here. If you see here, let me open up this package here. Sorry for all the... I can't turn this camera off. It turns into a fiasco. So this here, I have 2 GoPros. Look, I have all this stuff. But when you get this stuff, you have to then go to my computer. See, this what's nice about the Insta360, this will go, all that will go from here to here without me having to connect anything. It'll upload all my videos. On this over here, I got to go into my office and plug this into my computer to retrieve all the files and data, or take the SD card out. It turns into a major project. I mean, wow. But you know, one thing I did want to do, sorry to keep on talking. One thing I did want to do was, let's see here. I want to go to the YouTube, and I just want to show you. So when you get up this morning, this is what you're going to see. Desperate times. No one is safe. We're not paying $20 an hour. The proof of freedom is all in front of you. I mean, I was just this morning. It's so interesting in how this shut it down. It's just everything is negative. So YouTube, you go to YouTube, and it's just negativity. So it's interesting. I guess I would be interested to know, because I'm the automotive guy, you know, so this thing's catering more to me. So I guess it's just all negative content. And but anyways, that's it. I got to go. Too much going on. People are calling me, texting me. Great day, and I hope everybody has a blessed day. Have a great day.